if back pain is something that you have frequently when you deadlift, squat, or do, let's say, any one of your big three power lifts, and it's there, sometimes it's worse, sometimes it's better. It gets better when you work out, but you wake up the next day and it still hurts again. It may be your posture. So for me personally, I had a lot of pain due to a rotational issue from track and field that started on my last high school throw and through college, and after I graduated from college and started work, bothered me a couple times, and each time I personally was able to see a chiropractor to help get my spine put back in place to be balanced. And so after that, I had a big chance to basically rebuild what was there. And so what I realized was, three things were really causing my back to be prone to go out of position, two, weak, and three, just generally unstable. So after that time, I went to learn to train 10 at Elite FTS. And that, again, after getting the acute fix of chiropractic help, this seminar helped change my back pain more than anything that I've ever done. And it had nothing to do with my back. When I got there, we went through the big three lifts, but ultimately, with Dave Tate in my group, Vincent DiCenzo, and the other people that were there lifting, I learned what it meant to train hard beyond 5, 10, 15, 20 years. So what that meant was almost our whole group, the first identified weakness was weakness with trapezius muscles and the upper middle back. Almost everyone had a failure point on the squat and the deadlift with rounded shoulders, which is just a chronic bad posture habit. So that was the first thing. For me, the second thing I noticed was what I thought was good posture, having a nice flat back. This is not a neutral spine. A neutral spine is chest up, shoulder blades back, hips and chest balanced. And I just walked around all the time, constantly stretched. That's how we get chronic tendon pain, plantar fasciitis, bicep tendonitis. You get a muscle that's chronically overused, it's going to react harmfully, spasm, and it's going to really get your body out of position chronically. So beyond that, it was my upper back position. It was the chronic rounded back, which I thought was great. And it was hip flexors that pulled my hips down so tight that just to stand normally, I had to use my low back all the time. So those three things had me, when I worked as a personal trainer, I couldn't stand for more than 3 hours at a time without having to stretch like this or feel like I needed to sit down. So what I did coming out of that is probably a trend that started, and I have not had serious back pain since I've started doing this. So one of the first things that I started working on was fixing that anterior pelvic tilt problem, which is when, let's say that your hips are level. Good neutral position with your hips are hips parallel with the floor. That means you got decent glute extension, and we don't have anything that's out of balance when you're just standing here. Anterior pelvic tilt is when those back muscles are tight and you can't, even though you try to squeeze your glutes, you can't get that position corrected. So when we've got anterior pelvic tilt, a lot of times another problem is the tight hip flexors down through here. So as you work through, let's say if you don't want to spend all this time, you want to start working on it, even amid workouts, a great place to start is to find a decent pace of bars, parallel bars, straight bar, I don't care what it is, but what you'll probably find is when you start to hang down, your back might start to fall into lumbar extension, which is not good. This is what we're trying to correct. So to correct that, what we've got to do is use those lower abdominal muscles and your glutes to rotate your pelvis through, hold that. And again, what you'll probably feel is your lats get really tight. Because again, everything gets tied in here. So we've got to get our spine corrected from the base, getting our pelvis level. Then we can relax a little bit. I'd go through 3 to 5 rounds of work, breathe and relax through it, then relax down 2, and go through 3, 4, or 5 repetitions. Lumbar extension, and that hurts, so if it hurts, don't do it. So let's say tier 1 is feet on the bench, get your hips level. Again, hold on to a medicine ball. This is going to be a medicine ball, kettlebell, plate, band, whatever you want it to be, but this is 20 pounds. So use something that you can really control. The idea is to Get your core flexed. Press up. Get your shoulder blades in place. As you let that medicine ball fall back, let the chest open up. Let your lats, chest, abs, pecs, triceps, everything that holds you down during the day, let it open up. Let it stretch. The main principle here is to keep your muscles contracted. Breathe. Bring it back up. Now, if you're here, you're trying to get out of pain, let's say, you get caught here because your muscles are tight. If you do this slowly and you work on adding a little bit of time with each repetition to your stretch and your ability to draw your muscles down, you should be able to find this exercise opens you up just by doing it. If you do the exercise correctly with the right intention, it can build strength, it can build flexibility, it can build mobility to make you better, stronger, less susceptible to pain. I love this exercise. I do this 3 to 4 times a week. The warm-up at the end, it makes sure to keep me in a good position all the time. This way I don't get into chronic bad positions. When you're here, if you feel like you can't get that medicine ball to let go, breathe in, bring it back up. A way you can progress this is, if your hips are starting to feel pretty good, you don't feel a lot of stretch, take a leg, let it straighten out down to the ground. Get that hip flexor to stretch a little bit because you got that glute into big time extension. Feel the difference. Maybe go for 5 or 6. Bring that leg back up, starting to feel pretty good. Put this leg down, stretch, build some flexibility there, build some resilience, build stability as you go. Get both feet to the ground. If you get both feet to the ground, make sure your glutes are creating good extension. Good extension is going to permanently help prevent from chronic tight hip flexors. It's just a fact. You got to do it, no matter what. Lifter, runner, athlete, occupational worker, construction worker, doesn't matter who you are. Everyone should be able to do this in some way. Not always heavy, not always for tons of repetitions, but make your muscles be able to relax, and it'll make life a lot more comfortable. And bring this back up when you're done. Supported rows, shrugs, overhead raises, things that strengthen my trapezius muscles from many and different angles. And every workout, probably 3 to 4 times a week, starting with circuits of 3 to 4 exercises, doing about 400 repetitions between all of those to start almost every day. Not heavy. The main idea was emphasis on repetitions to develop habits and postures and fix it forever. This is one of my favorites.